Hey folks, I'm just playing some chords today. What's up? Hey, who we got in here? Who's Evan was here. He was here early. Dean's here. Great to see you, Dean. Don's here. Oh, we got everybody in here now. That's right. Earl's here. Hi, Earl. Great to see you. Let's see. Dean, everybody's just saying hi, and we got some people coming in. I see the numbers starting to go up here. So make sure that you say hi in the chat so I know that you're there. And we're talking, I was playing little chords, these little 3-note chords, sometimes 4-note chords. And we started talking about that yesterday in our live stream. And I really enjoyed sharing those things because there's, I've been thinking about how to make a system of this. You know, how do you, oh, I left Earl hanging up there. How do you go about teaching these things that you see all of these players who are farther along playing over popular music, rock music and blues and those things. And they're not the things that are learned. They're not the things that are taught. We're taught bar chords, open position chords. We're taught double stops. We're taught boogie patterns. That's basically what we're taught. And when I started playing jazz early on, I was told you a little bit about that the other day, where my chords weren't lining up. So I went into University of Delaware for a while, played there for a year, played in the jazz band with them for a year. And then I moved to the University of the Arts in Philadelphia, which is not there anymore. That's a whole other story. But it was a great school. It's a shame they didn't run it well. But there was a system for learning the jazz chords, and it revolved around 4-note voicings that were separated by a string. So if I was going to play a B minor 7, let me get close up here. I want to show you this. So these were the first ones that we learned there. So if I was going to play a B minor 7th chord, I would play a B on the low string, skip a string, and then the 7th fret on the D, G, and B strings, which is an A note, a D note, and an F sharp, right? So I've got all 4 notes in there. And then you learn the middle string voicings, right? And then back to one of these separated out, the bass note separated across a string. And they all... Those kind of things, right? They all have a certain sound. They feel like jazz, and there's a system for learning them. And I learn them, and I play them all the time. They're great, but they have a certain sound. So I have my rock lessons and the things that I learned from rock music, and then blues and all of those chords, which were what we talked about: open position, bar chords, and the boogie patterns, and some double stops. And that's not what I was hearing. We talked about Panama from Van Halen yesterday. It's using these sharp, small chords. You could talk, a lot of like reggae and stuff would use these sharp chords that cut through the mix. And they weren't big, they weren't muddy, they weren't power chords. And they were all over the place. And no one was talking about them. No one was teaching them. And so I've been thinking about that a lot since yesterday. It's been a big deal to me because I'm in the business of trying to make you sound good. Because you make me look good. When you all sound good, I look good, right? So this is kind of where I'm putting something together. This is the kind of everything comes together at these small triads, these 3-note and the small 7th chords, 4-note voicings. that are not separated by a string and those things. They may be on the D, G, and B strings, but they are related to our open position chords. They're parts of these shapes that we already know, but they behave like bar chords. They move around. So they're movable triads, movable, and they're not the big, huge ones, you know? And you start to use them. You use them in slide. I use a lot of those little partials of chords, especially when I'm playing standard slide. I whenever I can find those little places where it works out nicely. So this is to me, it's a big deal. It may not be a big deal to a lot of people, but I'm a big nerd and I think about stuff like this, right? So it's it's a big deal. These are sounds that I get now that I understand, that I kind of had to figure out on my own. There wasn't anything about them. And so I watch players play and they'd be grabbing these chords, they'd play and, you know, all these little figures that are thrown in there. And so that's what we're doing this week. We're adding into the toolkit is what's coming Friday, the redone toolkit, and I'm adding things in there. The toolkit originally was just embellishments. What are those things? You know, all those things you can do to chords to make them interesting. And I exhausted that. We went through all of the chords, every string for every chord. What are all the things that you can do that work in most keys? But now this is kind of taking on the life of its own here. So this whole idea of bringing together the open position chords and the bar chords through these small shapes is advanced for this style of music. Now, I'm not saying this is by no means fusion or jazz or anything like that. But for popular music, when you hear the things that the players that you really like to listen to are doing, they revolve around a lot of these things, taking shapes that we use in other places and repurposing them. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today. We'll get into it a little bit. Missed a lot here. Let me Aaron's here. I'm happy. He says, hey, all, quick hello to all. We'll watch the recording later. Okay, well, we'll see you later. Phil's here. Great to see you, Phil. Yeah, I was, I rushed to get here. I'll try to get here as early as I can. This is as fast as I could. Look at old lightning finger. Steve Cropper does those kind of things, right? Let's see here. Dean says, I agree. It is a big deal. It's a big deal. There's a lot of things that I have an issue with the way that guitar is taught. There's a lot of things that just don't make sense. One, because I've been taught in other styles of music and I see the systems that they have for those styles of music. And the music that I love, the music that I listen to, the systems that are, it's like since the internet, we've been scrambling to get some systems together. All that kind of stuff. But this, you know, I'm starting to, I guess the more I do this and the more I put stuff out there, the more I see where the holes are. And this is one of the places that has the biggest holes, is trying to move away from standard stuff, moving away from that kind of sound, moving away from and getting some of the cooler stuff and being able to get out into the fretboard a little bit there too. Can you play Cemetery Gates by Pantera? Yes, I can. I'm not going to because, you know, you start to do those things and they get these little strikes on you here. So I play a lot. I'll play a little bit there. I'm interested. How many seconds do you think I could play of a song before the bots figured out what I was doing there? But it's good to see you. Thank you for hanging out. The Giga Lost 3102. Thank you for being here. How long you been playing guitar? Giga Lost 3102. I'd like to hear all about that. Tell me about your chord playing there. Phil says, thought I was running early, but arriving a little late. I started around 4:10 today. I was going to do 4:20, but I wanted to get in here a little bit earlier than that there. So what am I doing today? I'm working on all this stuff that we've been talking about. But so let's start. Let's do what we did a few days ago. Let's pick a chord progression. Anybody out there who wants to participate? Giga Lost or Dean or Phil, Evan, Aaron, if you're still here, Don, put in one of your favorite chord progressions here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show how you do it in bar chords and in open position chords. But then what we're going to do is we're going to try and figure out different ways of playing this in different places. Whenever you see a band that has two guitar players and they're not playing exactly the same thing, there's a lot of bands you see them, they're all playing exactly, you can see that they're playing the same thing. But bands like Aerosmith, bands like that, where both guitar players, it's kind of a push and pull. They're not playing exactly the same thing. One will be playing down here, one will be playing up here. Revoicings of those chords is some of the things that I really. There was a song called Adam's Apple by Aerosmith that I had learned one time, and I learned both parts at the same time. I was the only person that was going to be playing that in the band that I was in. And so I tried to figure both parts out. And then I started finding all these cool little chord fragments and little shapes there. Giga Lost is back. He said, he or she, I don't know, first learned in 2019, and 1 year later I quit. But in this month I returned back. That's what I like to hear. Yes, return back to guitar. And I made progress a lot. Do you don't like, I really like Pantera. I'm a big fan of Pantera. I've been since they came out. And I can play Pantera. I just, I stay away from playing other copyrighted music here to keep the business alive there. And he says, I'm only learning tabs. Okay. So we're going to talk about learning from tabs in a little bit. There's a lot that you miss. When you're just learning from tabs, you don't get the full picture of the information that you need. You don't understand why the people who wrote the song, why they did what they did, and how those parts all work together. And it's not difficult to do. Problem with tabs is that someone used their ear to figure a song out, and then they wrote it in numbers there. So you're thinking 3rd fret, 4th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret, but you're missing the point of why the songs work and how to take those ideas and use them in other songs. There's some easy musical ideas that you can get from all these different songs that build you as a guitar player, and then you can communicate with others. You may have had a time when you got together with some friends and wanted to jam, and no one knew the same songs that everyone else did. Well, if you understand how this stuff works, you wouldn't have to. You could see what they're doing, whatever song. I play many times in bands where I really don't know any of the music, and I'm just learning as I go, right? Because I can use these skills that we've been learning, looking for. Let's see here. Okay, cool. So I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but that's awesome. From Turkey, greetings. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, all the way from Turkey today. Wonderful. DCG is a popular progression. Okay, and I think Dean said C, F, and G. We'll do both of those. Okay, and then. Only play for Pantera song I like or Megadeth. One of my favorite albums is Rust in Peace from Megadeth. I would listen to that on the way to a jazz gig. I was ready to go by the time I got there. So let's see here. D, C, and G. Let's start with the C one first, and then we'll then we'll go there. So if I'm going to play a easy C, so there's a little C, E, G in open position. If I was going to play it with bar chords, let's see here. Now, if I was going to go cage chords and continue up, let's see here. C, C. Let's see here. C, G. And then we have F. Let's see here. Where's the... Or with, you know, this is the standard. This is what you hear a lot. But what if we could figure out what the notes are in those chords, and then we could really get some different sounds out of this. So C, we have C, E, G. So we have this shape here, right? This little fragment is from the G shape, right? We could... This, here's a C, an E, and a G. Okay, let's see here. We have these. There is a G, and then a C, and then the E on the top, right? Let's see here. We go up here. Let's do this one. Let's do this. And now my F chord is F, A, and C. So here's F, A, and C. Here's an F, F, C, F, A. I could use that one. Here's, but I think I'm going to use this A shape here. So now I've got my C chord. Now G, my G chord, let's see here. G would be a C shape here. So this is pretty cool. Then I can start to embellish this. Let's see here. Let's, I'm just trying out different chords there. I could play it up here. And then there's my A. So let's see here. So here's my C here. My F chord is kind of like in G shape area. The G is in an A shape area. So I'm combining cage shapes. I'm combining combining my open position chord shapes. I'm combining my bar chord shapes, and I'm picking small areas to play these in, and it's opening up the fretboard as I go. I missed a bunch of stuff here. Let's see here. What do we got here? What's a good way to master the fretboard? Well, if you think about it, what are you trying to do when you're mastering the fretboard? What are you not able to do? There's three things, in my opinion. There's three parts of mastering the fretboard. One, we think, well, if I knew all my scales, then I would master the fretboard. So we start to practice our scales. And then we learn the patterns, and we play, you may learn all 5 patterns or all 7 patterns or all 12 patterns or all 24, whatever system that you use. And you start to play them, and then you realize, okay, well, I can play my scales up and down, but I'm not really making music with them. I don't know what the notes are underneath my fingers. Then the other side of that is people who do chord tone. They learn kind of like Larry Carlton did. They learn by learning their chord notes. So they'll learn all the chord shapes, and they'll play those, and they'll start to see, oh, this is this shape here. This looks like a diagonal line, and that is almost always a major third. So I know. Okay, I know that if I need a major third sound, it might look like this, right? My fifth looks like this. My dominant seven looks like that, right? My major seven looks like this. And you start to use intervals from those chords. So you've got scales over here and intervals over here. And then you got to a certain point and you go, okay, well, I can play around a little bit, but I still haven't mastered the fretboard. I don't understand what these things are doing. I may have learned some music theory about, okay, this chord works with this chord and we have to match those chords, but all I know is patterns and shapes. And if you ask those people, if I'd say, well, tell me what this note is right here, they'll usually fall flat. I have no idea what that note is. Well, it's in a scale pattern and it's a chord shape, or the interval shapes that you know, but they don't know the names of the notes. So it's those three things: scales, intervals, and the actual names of the notes on the fretboard. Once you get all of those three things down, once you can, I know if you ask me what this note is, or this note is, or this note is, I spent a long time being able to do it instantly. So I don't have to think about it anymore. One of the keys to it is going across frets there. But that's all I'm saying about that. but once you get those three things under control, you'll be amazed. Things start to make sense. You'll understand, there's a major shape and I'm playing a C, an E, and a G. Well, hey, in my theory, a C chord has a C, E, and a G. That's just like this chord here. In fact, that looks very similar to this, except the one note is offset. And you'll start to see things that you recognize in different places of the guitar that you didn't recognize before. And you start to be able to take those things where you've learned about theory and you've learned about how chords work and scales work over chord and matching notes to chords and not matching them. So it's those three things: working on the names of the notes on the frets, being able to close your eyes, get a fret and look at it and know what the note is there, knowing your scales across the fretboard, and then knowing your interval shapes, your chord shapes across it. If you get all three things of those, you'll be in really, really good shape. Marty's something else, man. That's some of the most fun times I've had is listening to Rest in Peace there. Dean had to go. No problem. We'll see you. I got to go in a second too. He says, I searched Jezebel from Sade, but can't find tabs, and there was only chords and videos, and I can't even remember chords. What can you suggest? You can call me Ego. Okay. All right, Ego. So I would suggest every day spending some time trying to develop your ear and try to be the one who makes the tabs, not the one who consumes the tabs. Try easy songs first, like La Bamba or easy 3-chord songs, and see if you can find out what the name of each chord is. Listen, say, okay, that first chord, see if I can match it. Oh, that first chord has C in it. Then it goes to another chord. What is that? Trial and error. Just try to find ways where you can listen to a piece of music and replicate that song on the guitar. It could just be bass lines, just the bass note of a chord, but you need to start developing your ear to be able to take what you're hearing and know how to play it on the guitar. And you can't jump ahead with this kind of stuff. I know the kind of music that you like. I like a lot of that music too. But that is, to be able to listen to that and just to be able to hear it right away, that's a huge jump ahead. What you want to do is you want to start easy. Listen to easy songs. sit around, watch TV, and the music that you hear in the background music on TV, see if you can find those notes on the guitar. I used to do that for like cartoons. I have all sorts of cartoon. Yeah, it's very frustrating. I could play a whole bunch of stuff. But, you know, I got to be careful with this. I think maybe Facebook's not as bad as YouTube is with these things. But anyway, I'm going to run. I've got a minute there. It was great. Phil said, thought it would be cool if we all hit the like button to help Lee out. And that would help me out. I'd appreciate it. And thanks everyone for coming into the chat and let me know that you're here. Like I said, all I see is a number. I see how many people are watching. I don't know who you are. So I would love to know if you're hanging out on the live streams with us. We're going to be doing them every day this week around this time. We have a new course coming out. It's an old course that's been updated. And on Friday for the big Black Friday sale, it's going to be here. I'm adding all sorts of cool stuff to it. I'll be talking about that throughout the week. And then, you know, things like today, where I'm seeing some things that are kind of leading me in a direction of the way I want to teach. So I'm really getting some good ideas about the direction I'm going to be going. Evan said, I know they teach the Flintstones theme in jazz school. Yeah, because it's got those chord changes, right? It's like rhythm changes, I think. Thought, okay, and let's see here. Ego said, thanks, dude. I say thanks to you. Lady O says, thank you. Thanks. Good to see you. And thanks for saying hi in the chat. And Earl did too. Thank you. So great to see everybody today. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And we're going to get into some more chord stuff. Then after all this chord stuff, we're going to get back into some lead guitar things. I'm looking forward to that too. Okay. See y'all soon. Bye-bye, everybody.